Appearance of the Earth. Earth has been called Goldilocks planet. Earth is our home planet. Scientists believe Earth and its moon formed around the same time as the rest of the solar system, about 4.4 billion years ago. Earth is the fifth largest planet in the solar system. Its diameter is about 8,000 miles, third closest planet to the Sun. Its average distance from the Sun is about 93 million miles. Only Mercury and Venus are closer. On Earth, everything is just right for life to exist. It's warm, but not too warm. And it has water, but not too much water. Earth is the only planet known to have large amount of liquid water. Liquid water is essential for life. Earth is the only planet where life is known to exist. So what does Earth look like? From space, Earth looks like a blue marble with white swirls and areas of brown, yellow, green, and white. The blue is water, which covers about 71% of Earth's surface. The white swirls are clouds. The areas of brown, yellow, and green are land, and the areas of white are ice and snow. Equator is an imaginary circle that divides Earth into two halves. Northern half is called the northern hemisphere. Southern half is called the southern hemisphere. Northernmost point of the Earth is called North Pole. Southernmost point of the Earth is called the Southern Pole.
My topic is all about characteristics of Earth. It is a continuation. It has a solid and active surface with mountains, valleys, canyons, plains, and so much more. So, it has a solid gahi yun ni kayo siya nga planeta. Earth is as special because it is an ocean. Special jud kayo ang Earth kay naa siya ay ocean. Water covers 70% of Earth's surface. So ang Earth naggitabonan po dahil siya og water. Earth as atmosphere is made mostly of nitrogen. So ang Earth atmosphere is nagagigan siya sa nitrogen and it has a plenty of oxygen. So daghan po oxygen for us to breathe para pud ta maka ginhawa. Our planet Earth is a rotating sphere that orbits the sun. So ang planet pod, ang Earth pod, ang ato pong kalibutan is mo-rotate pod na siya into the sun. The orbit's axis of rotation is a constant field with respect to its orbit around the sun. So ang Earth axis is muhinay-hinay pod na siya og tuyok. Resulting in the change of season. Muhinay-hinay siya og tuyok para sa pag-utro sa season. Parehaan ang mga climate change, nga na ba mag-utro-utro ang atong panahon. The Earth also has a gravity and magnetic force fields. Ang Earth pod kusgan pod siya, napod siya magnetic force. Napoy magnetic force ang Earth. So that's all. Thank you.
Physical characteristics of the Earth.
The Earth is the only planet known to support life. We can also call this as a special planet because it is the only planet that can support life. Although larger than the planet, Earth is much smaller than the gas giants found in the outer solar system. Earth is a terrestrial planet with liquid water covering roughly 70% of its solid surface. Imagine how the Earth covered of 3/4 of water and that the land only covered of 1/4. The Earth is the third planet from the Sun, which from the Mercury, Venus, followed by the Earth, which is the third planet from the Sun. Earth has contains of water and air, as air associated the word atmosphere. The atmosphere is the packet of air that surrounds the Earth, and the water we need to know is the hydrosphere. The hydrosphere is the water on Earth. There are two important gases on Earth. Those are the oxygen, which we need for survival, and carbon dioxide, which we breathe out. The oxygen and carbon dioxide are the two important gases from the atmosphere. Earth rotates an axis with imaginary line running through the center of North Pole and South Pole, and it rotates through counterclockwise. The axis of the Earth is tilted to a degree that varies the amount of light and heat energy in its hemisphere that receives. These seasonal changes take place due to shift in position experienced by the southern and northern hemisphere at different points in the Earth's orbit. The Earth's surface is known as crust. The crust here is composed of aluminous silicates and make up just 1% of planet total volume. While most of the planet's surface is covered in water, and the crust also has its several tectonic plates that float above the molten asthenosphere. Asthenosphere can be found below the crust, and these plates are able to float on the planet crust because they have a lower density than material found within the planet mantle.
Composition and structure of Earth. Core, mantle, and crust are divisions based on composition. Core is mostly iron metal. The core makes up about 31% of the Earth. Mantle is hot and represents about 68% of Earth's mass. Crust makes up less than 1% of Earth by mass. The lithosphere and asthenosphere are divisions based on mechanical properties. The lithosphere is composed of both the crust and the portion of the upper mantle that behaves as a brittle, rigid solid. The asthenosphere is partially molten upper mantle material that behaves plastically and can flow. Earth's outer space is its crust, a cold, thin, brittle outer shell made of rock. The crust is very thin relative to the radius of the planet. There are two very different types of crust, each with its own distinctive physical and chemical properties. First, oceanic crust is composed of magma that erupts on the seafloor to create basalt lava flows, or cools deeper down to create the intrusive igneous rock Kabru. Sediments, primarily muds, and the shells of tiny sea creatures, coat the seafloor. Sediment is thickest near the shore when it comes off the continents in rivers and on wind currents. Second, continental crust is made up of many different types of igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks. The average composition is granite, which is much less dense than the mafic igneous rocks of the oceanic crust, because it is thick and it has relatively low density. Continental crust rises higher on the mantle than oceanic crust, which sinks into the mantle to form basins. When filled with water, these basins from the planet oceans. The lithosphere is the outermost mechanical layer, which behaves as a brittle, rigid solid. The lithosphere is about 100 kilometers thick. The lithosphere is based on how Earth materials behave, so it includes the crust and the uppermost mantle, which are both brittle. Since it is rigid and brittle, when stresses act on the lithosphere, it breaks. This is what we experience as an earthquake. two most important things of mantle are: it is made of solid rock and it is hot. The properties fit the ultramafic rock peridotite, which is made of iron and magnesium-rich silicate minerals. Peridotite is rarely found at Earth's surface.
So this is the continuation of the report of Miss Sheila Lin. Heat flows into two different ways within the Earth. First, conduction. Heat transfer that occurs through rapid collision of atoms, which can only happen if the material is solid. Heat flows from warmer to cooler places until all are the same temperature. The mantle is hot mostly because of heat conducted from the core, meaning from the core daw na nahitabo nga heat conduction, di ba? Ang giingon diri is conduction is heat transfer that occurs through rapid collision of atom. Through rapid collision of atom, na aday paspas nga pagsaka sa atom. Meaning, karon ang mahitabo is mostly ang mantle is super hot gid siya. Kaya na may paspas nga pagsaka, rapid collision of atom. Number 2, convection. Process of a material that can move and flow may develop convection currents. Convection in the mantle is the same as convection in the pot of water in the stove. So karon, ang gihatag diri nga example is kanang ang convection daw of mantle is the same as convection in a pot of water in the stove. So kabantay mo anang mag-init ta og tubig from kanang takore or kaldero. Convection current within earth mantle form as material near the core heats up. So karon, nag-init na. As the core heats the bottom layer of the mantle, materials particle move more rapidly, paspas ga paglihok, decreasing pag-ubos sa timbang and causing it to rise. So ang warm air mag-less daw yung density, mag-ubos ang yung density, then it causes it to rise. So pasaka. Kabantay mo nang hinungaw sa ininit, pasaka or horizontally gid ang iyahang way or movement pagpataas. So karon, the decreasing material begins the convection current. When the warm water or warm material reaches the surface, it spread horizontally. Pag abot niya sa taas, mo spread siya pasaka ang warm air. The material cools because it's no longer near the core. So, pag abot niya sa taas, kay wala naman siya sa bottom sa pot, which is ang init nga area. So, it's no longer near the core or bottom sa pot. So, it's eventually become cool. Mubugnaw siya and dense enough to sink back. Mubugad siya og balik, then mo-sink back siya, paubos na pod siya balik down into the mantle or ubos sa pot. At the bottom of the mantle, the materials travel horizontally and it heated by the core. It reaches the location where warm mantle materials rises and the mantle convection cell is completed. So, mosaka, pag-abot sa taas, mo cool down, then mobalik na pod siya og naog or mo sink down. Muna siya process sa convection. Next is core. Core, at the planet center lies a dense metallic core. Scientists know that the core is metal for a few reasons. The density of Earth's surface layer is the most less than the overall density of the planet as calculated from planet's rotation. So, di ba kasayod banta nga ang core is the center of the earth. Siya ang pinakasentro sa atong kalibutan. So, I have here an illustration sa structure of earth. So, naa siya parts. First is the crust. Crust is the outside layer of the earth and is made up of solid rock, mostly basalt and granite. There are two types of crust. oceanic, and lastly, continental. Oceanic crust is denser and thicker, nipis, and mentally composed of basalt. Continental crust is less dense, thicker, baga, and mentally composed of granite. The second is the mantle. The mantle lies below the crust and is up of 2,900 km thick. So, ang iyang kabagon is 2,900 km. It is consist of hot dense iron and magnesium rich solid rock. The crust and the upper part of the mantle make up the lithosphere. It is broken into plates, both large, small plates. Lastly, the core. The core is the center of the earth. Diba man akong giingon, siya ang pinakasentro sa atong kalibutan and is made up of two parts. Na siya'y duha ka parts, which is the liquid outer core and the solid inner core. The outer core is made up of nickel, iron, and molten rock. Temperature here reach up, guess what? 50,000 degrees. So, super init siya.
So my topic is about the moon. The earth has one moon. We call it the moon because for the long time it was the only one we knew about. So many languages have beautiful words for moon. It is Luna in Italian, Lune in French, Monde in German, and Selene in Greek. So the moon has no air to breathe. So the moon has the fifth largest in the solar system. So the distance from Earth is about 240,000 miles or 385,000 kilometers. So the moon has a very thin atmosphere called the exosphere. So the first layer is the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, thermosphere, and the last is the exosphere. So the moon is a rocky. So the moon weak atmosphere and its lack of liquid water. The first astronauts who brought back a total of 842 pounds or 382 kilograms of lunar rocks and soil to Earth is Apollo. Apollo landing in July 1969. And the lunar eclipse, Earth comes between the sun and the moon, blocking the sunlight falling on the moon, while the solar system they will be between the earth and the sun and cast its shadow on the earth. So when you see the dark shadow, it's the umbra. And when you see the light, it's called the penumbra. The new moon, when sunlight hits off the moon's far side, the side we can see without from earth, the aid of a spacecraft. So the full moon, when sunlight reflects off the near side. So who can still remember the phases of the moon? So these are 8 lunar phases. The first is the waning quarter, second is the waning gibbous, the full moon, waning gibbous, waxing gibbous, waxing crescent, new moon, and the waxing crescent.
Trivia about the Earth. The Greek equivalent to Earth is Gaia, Terra Mater, Mother Earth, and Roman equivalent was Delos, the fertile soil. Earth is estimated to have formed around 4.5 billion years ago, almost one-third of the age of the universe, through accretion from solar nebula.
Terra Goddess, also known as Terra Mater. This goddess is the Roman counterpart of the Greek goddess Gaia, literally Mother Earth. Delos' mother was responsible for agriculture and earthquake, as well as marriage and fertility.
The solar nebula, gaseous cloud from which is the so-called nebular hypothesis of the origin of the solar system. The sun and planets formed by condensation.